now with, okay, thank you so much, Andrew. So we are beginning week 116 of our Indigenous Global Unity Summit events. So it is August 24th, Thursday, 2023. Before I begin these events each week, I do like to say land acknowledgement. So we begin today by acknowledging that we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples. We recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land. We're grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protect the land and its resources, and we're committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. We acknowledge the land that I am residing on and visiting here in Taoyuan, Taiwan, is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Austronesian Indigenous peoples who have lived on this island for over 8,000 years, the East Formosan tribes of the Atayal peoples of central and northern Taiwan, also known as the Tayal or the Tayan, meaning human or man, and where Taoyuan City in this modern age contains 16 different Aboriginal groups, whose population exceeds 7,000, making Taoyuan the most populated city for Indigenous peoples on the western part of the island. We also acknowledge that the Indigenous Culture Center, Taoyuan City, first established in May 2004, has become a gathering point for the Indigenous peoples, as well as being listed as one of Taoyuan City's story houses, and whose totem poles on Rainbow Avenue express the Indigenous spirit with beautiful lines, and where the colors on the base of each totem pole derive from the costumes of the different tribes, integrating with the unique landscapes of Taiwan to symbolize the unity of all ethnic peoples. We'd like to thank the Indigenous peoples of these lands, including the Atayal, for sharing this land with us. In our role as settlers and visitors and displaced people on this land, we share the responsibility of challenging and disrupting colonial systems that enact violence upon the land and stand in solidarity with Indigenous peoples. We also acknowledge and recognize all of the world's Indigenous peoples as stewards of Mother Earth. So this is now, as I said, week 116. I would like to say to all our friends in Africa, or Al-Kibulan, Asante Sana, thank you very much, in Swahili. Thank you for joining us today for this IGU Summit event. I do also like to say Sawubona, which means I see you, I see myself in you, I see your hopes, your dreams, and your struggles. I see your ancestors as well, because interconnectedness does not end with two people who are greeting each other. It extends to include the ancestors. Since all beings and Mother Nature are interconnected, there is no sense of being separate. I see myself in all beings, and therefore, if I harm other beings or Mother Nature, it translates into harming myself. Now, actually, I should have moved forward on my presentation. I did add this additional screen that I could have advanced to so people could also follow along. But I will move forward again to the next screen as well. So again, today is Thursday, August 24th, 2023, week 116 of our IGU Summit series. Our guest speaker today is supposed to be Wata Kingpin from the UnityNet Permaculture Network. His organization is Ahero Scheme Rice Plantation, he's CBO. The title of his presentation is an overview of the Ahero Rice Plantation community-based organization in Kenya. But first, as a short introduction, I want to let our audience know who is UnityNet and what we are doing. These global Unity Network events, like this one, are intended to facilitate regenerative localization by helping to identify and bring together all of the local, regional, national, and international partners required for creating the global multi-stakeholder partnerships, our INAB collaborative empowerment networks that help to empower our local regenerative development solutions providers, our UnityNet and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs in all of our local communities worldwide. Our goal is to assist in the global transition to a responsible, localized, productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that leaves no one behind as we approach the end of the Sustainable Development Goals, which last from 2015 to 2030. Today is not a special day in the UN calendar, but 2 days ago, August 22nd, was International Day commemorating the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief. It's a United Nations-sponsored annual awareness day that takes place on the 22nd of August as part of the UN's efforts to support human rights related to freedom of religion or belief. So actually, I would like to open up the chat window and I will share some notes with everybody on call. Yesterday, August 23rd, was the International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition. And in fact, tomorrow, August 25th, is the 204th anniversary of the first arrival of Africans in British North America, pursuant to the what's called Project 1619. So I will share these three events. First, the International Day commemorating the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief, along with the International Day for the remembrance of the slave trade and abolition, as well as Project 1619, which we found at the link in the chat. So we've now completed our UnityNet 11 days of UnityNet Community Unity Weeks, where all of our members were celebrating the diversity of humanity. This is also intended to be the week of our globally coordinated Community Bubble Fun Festival, which was the second big event that UnityNet members are intending to do every year, following the Tree of Peace and Reconciliation Showcase Project for Global Cooperation on June 5th, which is World Environment Day. The UnityNet Community Unity Weeks started on Wednesday, August 9th, which is also the International Day of Solidarity with the struggle of women in South Africa and Namibia, which is known as National Women's Day. It ended on Saturday, August 19th, World Humanitarian Day. It's during these weeks that we encourage all of our local INAB collaborative members and others to have their local Bubble Fun Festivals. They can do them on any date between August 9th and 19th, but should try to do it as close as possible to International Youth Day, which this year was Saturday, August 12th. The purpose of the events that we and our members might do during our UnityNet Community Unity Weeks is to raise funds for our local practical reconciliation community projects and initiatives, and to plant trees of peace and reconciliation and establish the community youth peace gardens in all of our local communities of UnityNet and all of our partner networks, where we can celebrate our diversity locally together. And so you'll find again some information in the chat about the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples, Wednesday, August 9th, as well as World Humanitarian Day, which was Saturday, August 19th, just fairly recently, and International Youth Day, Saturday, August 12th, which is where we did our own event on that day, and also including the World Environment Day, Monday, June 5th, which is a very important day for us in our calendar. And although UnityNet members were supposed to host the Global Coordinated Bubble Fun Festivals this year, what is intended to take place each year on or around International Youth Day, August 12th. Instead, we did host the UnityNet AHIABGA Community Unity Weeks 2023 virtual event on Saturday, August 12th. So the International UnityNet event that we did was an interview with Dr. Paul Olivier, a sustainable farming and waste management expert and a biochar stove maker. He calls what he does waste management closed loop farming and is careful not to call what he does regenerative agriculture, which is a very different thing. We did that event instead of a Bubble Fun Festival this year, because our partners in PodNet aren't quite ready to do the Mobile Fun Festival events just yet. The event on August 12th was also intended to raise awareness of our other globally coordinated events and our campaign to establish the global network of youth peace gardens through the UnityNet Watershed Peace Gardens campaign, which is also intended to support the fundraiser. So the fundraiser is intended to begin during these community unity weeks from Wednesday, August 9th to 19th, inclusive of the August 12th International Youth Day event, which we did with that broadcast of the interview with Dr. Olivier, who's located in central Vietnam, in a little city called Dalat, where I just came back yesterday. The next event that we'll be doing this year is our UnityNet Youth Peace Weeks. The Global Cooperation Day events from October 4th to World Food Day, Monday, October 16th. This is also the time when we intend to host our Climate Smart Youth Forum event on or around World Food Day. The campaign for the UnityNet fundraising is called the UnityNet Watershed Peace Gardens campaign. It's being led by the members of the UnityNet Environment Network and their allies, working in partnership with the Global Partnership for Regenerative Development members and any other UnityNet members. Our goal, of course, is to protect the ecological integrity of lakes, rivers, and watershed biodiversity in the hotspots around them, as well as the bioregional integrity, using the UnityNet system, working with local Indigenous peoples and allies. During this campaign, we'd like to begin to establish these rings and networks of youth peace gardens around the sacred waters in all sacred ecoregions, planted by young people and their families of these regions that need ecological protection from degenerative development, like urban and industrial developments, mining, or other such activities that can contaminate waters or damage the ecological integrity of these bioregions. We will also want to establish our local teams of pollinator and watershed ambassadors through the UnityNet RDG clubs at local schools, in local communities of the sacred watersheds and bioregions, as well as beginning to demonstrate regenerative living lifestyles that truly help to restore regenerative ecosystems and local watershed integrity as people live their day-to-day lives. So please find the details of this event and some links to join the campaign in the Zoom chat window. You'll find first the UnityNet AHIABGA Community Unity Weeks, the online event that we did on August 12th. You can also watch the complete live in-person interview with Dr. Paul Olivier, an expert in waste management, closed-loop farming, climate smart food production systems, in the YouTube playlist link that's being shared in the chat. The UnityNet AHIABGA Community Unity Weeks virtual celebration this year, that presentation was delivered on Saturday, August 12th, again, International Youth Day, and that we do have that uploaded. The PDF is on SlideShare, so you can find a link to that PDF document in the chat along. In the chat, you see a description. There's also a description of the UnityNet Watershed Peace Gardens campaign to establish our rings and networks of peace gardens across all of our watersheds as well. That includes a public chat group, a professional network, and a WhatsApp chat group as well. I wanted to also note UnityNet International completed our event on Youth Day. It did feature Dr. Paul Olivier, the waste management expert. Value-added systems production was his theme. He is located in Dalat, Vietnam, where I also visited a couple of Indigenous villages, entered into dialogue with some Indigenous people in and around the city, mostly led by Dr. Olivier. We visited a local Indigenous community a few hours northwest of the city, Dr. Olivier got the village chief to agree to move forward and do a pilot project with at least 10 households out of about 100. The Saturday, August 12th broadcast focused on the actions that we need to be taking in all of our local communities of UnityNet to achieve the responsible, productive, localized, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that leaves no one behind, starting with these UnityNet peace gardens, but eventually leading to the establishment of some community-based unity gardens, along with community unity hubs and unity peace centers in all of our local communities, UnityNet. And although there was no tree planting ceremony this year, I'm still hopeful that discussions with these Indigenous community members may be fruitful and may lead to some tree planting ceremonies and youth peace gardens in future months and years. During our visit to the Indigenous community on Wednesday, August 16th, we were also able to identify at least one species of tree that the villagers consider to be sacred. This is the Hoagao tree, aka the rice flower tree, which is associated with the spring. It's also called many other beautiful names in English, such as Malabar silk cotton tree, red cotton tree, or kapuk. In future, we may use this tree to do a tree planting ceremony in that village in Vietnam and establish at least one youth peace garden, and possibly even our first UnityNet community unity garden learning center in Asia, most likely starting with a UnityNet double drawdown climate smart kitchen. So as we begin to plan to do our CTP twinning of the first youth peace gardens next year in 2024, as this becomes important, especially around the time of the Sunlight Spectacle 2024 event, which takes place on April 8th, 2024, during this total solar eclipse. This will be when we do our twin peace gardens with some others in various other countries around the world, whether these are existing or future gardens, wherever we can think to establish some UnityNet community unity garden learning centers. This will be done in order to begin to establish a circular, regenerative, climate-smart food production economy, also using some of the concepts of Dr. Olivier and his waste management closed-loop farming system, which defines almost all that can be found in the real-life farm schools and the double drawdown climate-smart kitchens. Ideal, of course, we'd like to establish some UnityNet peace centers, which includes all of the 5 different types of open source, regenerative, climate smart infrastructure solutions that UnityNet is promoting. So again, you'll find some related networks in the chat, including our food loss and waste chat group, which very much relates to what Dr. Olivier is doing in Vietnam as an expert in waste management and transformation. You'll also find information about the Sunlight Spectacle event, which takes place again next April. And then there's the link to our Sunlight Spectacle Professionals Network and WhatsApp groups as well. Not quite as important as the other events, but something just a bit fun. Today, Thursday, August 24th, is also International Strange Music Day, an occasion for stepping outside of your comfort zone and listening to genres of music that you've never experienced before. It is also Vesuvius Day, which is a day to pay tribute to the devastation in Pompeii in the most well-known eruption of one of history's deadliest volcanoes, Mount Vesuvius, which is actually still active. It is also National Waffle Day, which August 24th commemorates as the anniversary of the first waffle iron patent issued on August 24th, 1869 by Cornelius Swarthout of Troy, New York, who received his patent for the waffle iron. So not exactly a big observance, but something just of small interest. Again, find in that links to some of these events and holidays that are outside of the norm that most people recognize as observances, but they are interesting nonetheless. As we move forward, I'd like to again ask those on the call, if they do see our guest speaker come on with us, please let me know. I see that only Stephanie and Lisa are with us today.
Nobody came on.
I spoke with him just a moment ago. He said he was having some network issues, but he should be able to get on in about 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. Excellent, thank you.
That's
in the meantime, I will just continue on with this presentation. So as we move forward, these UnityNet AHIABGA IG Summit events are the first point of entry for the work that we do, which is to ensure peace in our local communities of UnityNet. Next thing, of course, of importance, not really any less significant, we want to be sure that our UnityNet members are getting good publicity and visibility globally, so that people from all around the world will know all about the good work that they're doing in their own local communities. This is important because it will give them credibility when it comes time to apply for funding for their own local projects and programs. Whether the funding they apply for comes from a UnityNet Finance Network members or from other funding sources. Of course, UnityNet International has some partners who are working on establishing the infrastructure for regenerative financing, also known as REFI. But this may take some time before we'll be able to finance your own local projects. But I do believe that the work that at least one company in our network, Carbon Shot Earth, is doing will be coming along fairly soon. Fingers crossed. I haven't talked to our partner in a while. Other important UnityNet peace and regenerative and climate smart development networks, including the Regenerative Living, Learning, Lifestyle Network discussion group is being shared in chat along with the UnityNet Peace Gardens Network, which of course is connected to the Watershed Peace Gardens campaign, which again is being shared in chat. I also mentioned the UnityNet Unity Peace Centers Network, peace centers being the places where we can learn all the skills that are necessary to adapt to climate change. And another network that I mentioned earlier today, one of our colleagues who happens to also be on the chat, is the Key Diplomacy Initiative, where we're working with Global Peace Let's Talk and the Global Forum for Rural Development as well in India. So join our UnityNet Action Program financing local regenerative projects, the UnityNet Partnership for Finance Networks. This can be done either through the UnityNet GP4RD REFI network, especially if you're interested in obtaining financing for projects in your own local community. This membership is intended for those who are seeking finance in the first place, or join the UnityNet Finance Regenerative Financing Network for those who may be able to provide financing projects that they'd like to do as part of their ESG programs. So our goal is to assist all financial institutions and organizations, including ethical and cooperative banking, credit union, and digital trust-based financial service providers, tap into the many opportunities provided by the members of the Global Unity Network to empower our local FFHE and allow them to access regenerative finance through their own local INAP collaborative community partnership ecosystem that ensures transparency, accountability, integrity at all levels and across all sectors of society, amongst government, business, civil society, academic, and all other sectors of our HEPTA matrix partnership template established at the local, watershed, and bioregional levels. we only invite financial organizations that have a long-term vision and wish to help the world to demonstrate and achieve a post-2030 globalized, responsible, productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that aims to leave no one behind. So I'm just looking at my screen one more time to see if there's anybody else in our network. Seems like that 5 minutes may turn into 10 or 15, but in the meantime, I will continue. I do want to mention again, as every week I do, so that everyone understands what we're doing. Our purpose is to help establish partnerships and empowerment networks so your local community is investment ready. Our UnityNet partners will also help you establish your own local community-based, regional, or watershed-based social enterprise if you need some assistance with that as well. Our work is not for charitable giving. We focus on productive, regenerative, climate-smart investments, supporting people and planet holistically. The team at UnityNet International is trying to find ways to facilitate and create pathways for investors and investment funds to go into not just the regenerative projects, but also the local humanitarian enterprises run as community and watershed ecoregion-based social enterprises. These social enterprises are intended to be built and run by our FFHE members. So rather than always just looking at the things we're doing in our local communities as if they were charities only, and that they can never make a profit, we need to consider the activities we do in the organizations that we create, these community-based organizations, the CBOs, and the NGOs, as essential components of holistic development, where ESG investments can and should be directed, because these entities are most definitely worth investing into. But we need to change our mindset. Instead of continuing to ask for donations to help us, we need to start marketing ourselves and our projects, including the nonprofits and cooperatives, as community-based enterprises that are also excellent investments to be made for the future of sustainable and regenerative development. And as I said many times during these events, the marketing can go something like this. What we are building here, all of our social structures, these are investments into people and will ensure economic growth can continue to take place in all of our local communities of UnityNet into the foreseeable future. Because we're also ensuring the health and well-being of people, the planet, in our watersheds and bioregions, which is fundamental to the health of our economic systems. Because we know that by taking this approach as an essential starting point, we can ensure that we'll get even better local economic conditions in the future, and we'll begin to create communities that will help to attract additional investments into our own local people and infrastructure and networks and watersheds and bioregions, including in places like rural Africa and Asia and beyond. So again, I'm not seeing our guest speaker. It's unfortunate. Hopefully he will be able to come on with us within the next 20 minutes or so. As we approach midnight here in Taiwan, probably not going to want to go much further past that time. So the important thing to note as we, humanity, collectively go through this transition is that, I like to quote Emperor Julian said, "Great innovations never come from above, they invariably come from below, from the much derided silent folk of the land, who are less infected with academic prejudices than great celebrities we want to be." And where the question was asked recently as well, what will move people as things get more broadly terrible, as changes in climate and loss of biodiversity and lack or expensive energy and materials collide with our notions of the need for a growing economy? In answering himself, Douglas Carmichael from Garden World noted that he is convinced that only larger questions in ethics and not scientific rationalism are capable of moving populations, and the actions necessary to engage with what is emerging as a bitter battle for climate. He noted as well that if we read together Joseph Tainter's Collapse of Complex Societies with Toynbee's study of history of the psychological and political collapses of many of them, we will actually be able to engage and not leave the scene as truants, nor wax promiscuous by aligning with one hope after another, such as I can see right now with that generative artificial intelligence craze, which according to McKay Asia, which I read in an article recently, quoted with the headline, China's biggest tech companies are pinning their hopes on to take over the role of the property sector has long played in Chinese growth story. So they're hoping that artificial intelligence will now take over that growth scenario role that they put so much effort into their real estate, which if people read any of the headlines coming out of China recently, there is a property collapse going on right now in the country. Again, you'll see the latest collapse of complex societies, as well as the study of history by Toynbee. I am putting one additional or two additional links over here. One is a link to an article about the Silicon Valley generative AI craze that's now going on. And then the second article from the same university, and an author of an article says that AI is likely spiraled out of control in terms of the hype. Since what happened recently with things like crypto and metaverse. So thank you all for joining us again on this Thursday Zoom session. If you're watching this on social media, on Facebook, please also join our LinkedIn and WhatsApp groups. Help us to create a truly global network of educators, professionals, and active citizens who are helping to accelerate our transition to a localized, responsible, productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that seeks to leave no one behind. I will continue to do what I can while I'm here in Taiwan, which I just returned to yesterday. But as I wrote to my colleague Madan just a few weeks ago, when I get back to Canada at the end of this year, we should probably have a sit-down meeting with Mary Ng, the Minister of International Trade, Export and Promotion, Small Business, and Economic Development, and talk to her about the potential for the UnityNet Community Gardens Network, along with the related productive eco-village network, to act as a sort of private sector diplomacy tool for Canada and Canadian goods and services values by working with companies like Canadian Tire and other similar corporations who claim to be sustainable as a way to help open up the market for Canadian value-added products, including the PodNet and solar roof solutions, these climate-smart kitchens, and the productive UnityNet Unity Gardens and Unity Forests, which can be delivered through the UnityNet Community Unity Hubs, which should each have a Canadian store attached as a front end. So again, find the link to the article for Mary Ng, our member of Parliament, actually for the writing of Markham Thornhill, which is where I normally live when not visiting Asia. There's also an article posted by Canadian Tire, which was named the most sustainable retailer in Canada just recently, I believe, not for the first time. The Tire Corporation also has their own ESG, which includes people and community, environment, responsible sourcing, and governance as the pillars of their ESG programs, which again are listed in the chat. So as we forward with our programs, we do wish to align some of these corporations who have pledged, especially to implement solutions to achieve their goals, whether it is a UN Global Compact member who says they would like to help implement those goals, or any other corporation says, yes, we are implementing environmental, social, and governance criteria into our business framework. I just need to find my mouse so I can advance the slide. Now, given this long introduction, this is where I do also like to explain who we are and what we do. So this graphic was taken from the original Indigenous Global Unity Summit weekly event that we've been doing every Thursday since Thursday, June 10th, 2021, during our second Sunlight Spectral Journey of the Eclipse event that celebrated local efforts by the citizens of every country to locally implement the SDGs, or the global goals. The overall purpose of UnityNet is to establish a global network of interfaith neighborhood academic and business collaboratives, so AHIABGA collaboratives, to empower our global partnership for regenerative development members, those female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs, will be tasked with establishing this global network of community Unity Garden learning centers, where hybrid exchange programs and practical learning will be delivered by the members of UnityNet's partners to all members of the global partnership. Our learning partnership for global unity. The learning programs are intended to be delivered through the Global Sisters Schools program in partnership with the members of the Global Unity Network. What we do is we twin the local INAP collaborative communities through our CTP program of the Science Company's Drawdown Work Community Climate Action Hub, which is a goal of building holistic, regenerative, climate-smart communities, both in Canada and in Asia and in Africa. Originally started in the greater Toronto bioregion in support of the UnityNet AHIABGA project, localization of the global goals, these SDGs, and the establishment of a responsible, localized, productive, compassionate, collaborative, regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. Please also note that all of our UnityNet social media pages, including the WhatsApp group discussions, Facebook pages, and the LinkedIn professionals, are intended for use by the nonprofit organizations and by our UnityNet female feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs, the members of our global partnership for regenerative development, so they can interact with each other and begin to build partnerships which will become the foundation of their own local INAP collaboratives, our UnityNet Interfaith Neighborhood Academic and Business Collaborative Global Empowerment organizations that are intended to be established in each of their own local communities. UnityNet International and UNAD, along with any of the other continental international nonprofit organizations, are here to facilitate this process by creating the local and regional INAP collaborative empowerment networks. Through these social events, we're also here to help you establish your own local, localized, productive, regenerative, and climate-smart humanitarian enterprises by facilitating this process through our UnityNet partnership for finance and partnership for learning networks. So again, going back in time to what I mentioned earlier, the Sunlight Spectral 1 Indigenous Global Unity Summit was where we started it all. And then with that event happening, we created the Unity Garden network, as well as the global partnership for regenerative development. Some months later, following that, we also created the UnityNet Global Sister School program to try to link up universities, colleges, and other institutions of learning so they could get familiar with programs and support the education and training of our experts in regenerative development. Here on us, unfortunately.